Hello, everyone. This is the Human Edge and Insights, moderated research at scale in the age of AI. I am your host, Nick Leotis from User Interviews, co-hosting along with our friends at Converge. So happy to have all of you here. Why isn't everyone just let me know in the chat where you are tuning in from? Would love to know, as always. And what team, if you're a World Cup fan, what team are you rooting for? I am in need of a team. Greece and Italy, my countries did not make it. I'm real angry about this, but willing to adopt a new team for for anyone who's in need. Right now, I'm a team orphan. Um, we will get started in just a moment as folks roll in, but excited to have all of you here with our amazing panel and to have this conversation get started. All right, Canada still going strong. Well done. South Africa, amazing. San Diego, awesome. Allentown, Pennsylvania, love Allentown. Been there, amazing place. France, awesome. All right. I think we have about a quorum. I am keep dropping them in. I'm gonna keep calling them out. All right. So again, this is the Human Edge and Insights moderated research at scale in the age of AI. And this is your uh, amazing panel that I'm going to introduce in 1 second. But first, housekeeping. You have a question on the bottom of your screen. You shall see, or if you hit the more button, you will see a tab that says Q&A on it. Please use that, and you have the ability to upvote the questions from other folks too. We'll get to those at the end of our session, and it really helps a lot if you centralize all of your questions there. Would be much appreciative of it. We'll share the recording deck, ways to get in touch with the panel, and any resources I drop in, any links or anything we mentioned here. So feel free to don't pay attention to the chat and all the things that might go whizzing by if you're afraid you might miss a link or anything like that. All right, so let's talk about our panel. We have an amazing group here, and I'll start with Jennifer, who is the founding partner at Heart and Mind Strategies. Jennifer brings more than 2 decades of experience as a researcher and consultant to Heart and Mind. Since helping found the company in 2009, her focus has been on counseling global and domestic clients on branding, reputation, positioning, and marketing communications needs. Recent global brand reputation clients include Johnson & Johnson, IBM, Microsoft, Philips, BrightSpring Health, UBS, Verily, Freddie Mac, CPP Investments, and the Technology Coalition, just to name a few. And then we have Andrew, also from Heart and Mind, our senior qualitative consultant, who brings over 20 years of strategic research experience to his role. He served as a qualitative lead in developing customer satisfaction, brand positioning, and strategic communications initiative for clients at the local, state, national, and international levels. And he earned his bachelor's degree in political science and sociology from Miami University in Oxford, the best Miami University, I bet Andrew would say, where he was awarded the honor of outstanding graduate senior in sociology. And I think it's also cool. Saw this in his bio. Andrew's an avid hiker, collector of vintage vinyl, and reader of Lee Child novels. As a vintage things collector, love that, Andrew. Lauren Hillary is the vice president of strategy at LT. Lauren is a seasoned creative strategist, over a decade of experience in brand strategy and insight-driven go-to-market planning. Passion lies uncovering actionable insights that propel brands forward towards success. Throughout her career, Lauren's worked with some of the most recognizable brands, including PetSmart, Massage Envy, The Stratosphere, and Toyota. And last but not least, Sam Griffin is the co-founder and CTO of Converge, a live research platform where organizations can hear from 20 to 1,000 stakeholders simultaneously. He leads product and technology, drawing on a background in real-time collaborative systems, web and mobile applications, and infrastructure built for large moderated sessions with sub-second latency. All right. Well, there was so much more in their bios, and I had to cut it because they have so many accolades. But this is an amazing panel to talk to about this topic. And so let's get into that. So I will hand off to Doug to talk a little bit about Converge.
Nick, thanks so much, and thanks for User Interviews to really host the session here. And Jennifer and Lauren, Andrew, great to see you. A couple of my favorite organizations and three of my favorite people. Thank you for joining us. I'm Douglas Griffin. I'm the co-founder and director of the Advanced Strategy Center in Scottsdale, Arizona. I am also the co-founder and CEO of the Converge platform. I mentioned the center because I've been facilitating sessions for some 30 years, group-based sessions, always using technology to do that. Converge is really based on that experience. Over that period of time, we launched Converge as a platform about 4 years ago, and it's been very, very well received in the market, but it's based on very fundamental principles. These are real-time moderated sessions. We generally run 20 to 100 people simultaneously. We can take that up very easily. 60 to 90 minutes on a synchronous session there, but it is voice moderated, human moderated, and a simultaneous and anonymous response. And we feel that that voice moderation is extremely important these times in terms of engaging people, providing context, really taking them through a series of activities in a very seamless kind of way. We get terrific response from our participants and from our clients on that. We kind of say it's focused group depth, but it's survey scale. And again, that simultaneous anonymous participation allows everybody to be respected and everybody to have an equal platform as we go through that. They're participating through their keyboard, but again, it can be open questions, it can be assessments, it can be media feedback, etc. We're all in the same game right now. We just can't take weeks and months to produce sessions and produce insights. So everything is about speed to insight. And so we use AI guide development, we do AI theming, we do AI analysis. But one of the fundamental things here that we had to do was to figure out really how to do recruiting in a much faster way. So we, again, are human-led, but we are supported by AI. Just in terms of what we've done with user interviews, we're the first moderated group platform to integrate the UI via their API on that. We're really proud of that. And it's really a powerful integration, allows us to very easily identify the recruits, to go ahead and write the screener, to use user interviews, to broadcast that out. But everything's integrated within the platform. It creates a lot of ease of use of doing that. And kind of say when recruiting can sometimes be the hardest part. We've kind of solved that now with our friends from user interviews. So again, we've taken down that recruit to literally days now. LT is an example there, 32 car buyers in 48 hours. And our show rates are generally 90 to 95%, sometimes 100%. And Heart and Mind, the destination resort example, Jennifer and Andrew there, were again 95% plus on that. So we're really pleased with the integration, really pleased with the relationship with UI. And Nick, I'll turn it over to you to introduce the case studies there. But thanks everybody for joining us. Looking forward to it.
I promise I didn't pay Doug to say all that. Yeah, thank you so much, Doug. And I'll pass on to Lauren, who's going to talk a little bit about LT.
Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. Again, my name is Lauren. I'm part of LT. We used to be Lane Terralever, but LT is just such an easier mouthful to get out. We're a full service agency. We're based in Phoenix, been around for quite some time, since 62. We are independent as well, which we think is a differentiator in our market, not only locally, but nationally, as we see a lot of consolidation in the marketing and advertising industry. I focus on leading our research and brand strategy efforts, and Converge has become, and user interviews, a crucial set of partners in the work that we do. We are category agnostic, so we have clients that range in almost every industry you can think of, but we do have some clustering that happens in higher education, healthcare, certainly tourism, gaming, and attractions. And as I mentioned, we, by the virtue of being independent, we really are a values-driven agency, and we have always been, since the 60s until now, a research and strategy forward organization. And a lot of the times that is starting with the type of research that we do. Feel free to go ahead and scan that QR code on the right. We do a healthy amount of research for our own industries. So we're generating pretty sizable reports about every quarter each year. So that's our latest and greatest there. It is Arizona focused, but I wanted to feature it because we did leverage using the Converge platform for that research. But you can find all of our research on that website and on our website. But I can't say enough about the platforms that we're going to speak to you about today, and really looking forward to the discussion.
Thank you so much. And yeah, I just want to say we'll dig into a little bit more behind that. And if you can't scan the QR code right now, don't worry about it. I will share the link to the deck afterwards, and you'll be able to do so then. Um, Great. And so then before I will pass it off to the heart and mind side of things to talk a little bit about what brings them here in talking about this topic, and then they'll dig into their case study in a bit more detail as we get deeper into the conversation.
Thanks, Nick. And I'm also really glad to be here and to talk about everything we've been able to do with that combined power of the Converge platform and user interviews. So Heart and Mind is also an independent agency. We are a full service market research firm. Similar to you, Lauren, we're kind of industry agnostic. And I'd say about half of our research is qual, half is quant, and 30 to 50% global, the rest domestic. But what we're trying to do anytime we're thinking about using a tool, a platform, anything like that, we've got to keep the human in the middle of it, right? And we've got to make sure that we can be true to our promise, which is we're going to help our clients motivate and persuade the hearts and minds of the stakeholders of the audiences that mean the most to them. So we have a long relationship with Doug since he had his lab for decades. And we heard all this exciting movement that something new was happening with that tool, which we have tested and been fully immersed in. But these exciting things were happening that Doug was talking about in terms of how we're recruiting, speed to insights. And yes, Doug, that's exactly what our clients were asking for. So I'm just going to take you through 3 examples. They're all within the financial services industry. But again, we've done this across different sectors, but I thought I could paint a nice picture for you. Okay, Doug and Sam, the other co-founder, when they were telling us about all the great bells and whistles, of course, we're skeptical, we're researchers, we're like, we got to get our hands in there and try this out. So we created a product off of Doug and Sam's platform, Converge, that we call Lightning Lab. And we brought people together, but we wanted to do a live beta test first. And our CFP client was able to join us in that through a partnership and said, let's give this a try. And, no harm, no foul if it didn't work. And I've got to say, this blew everybody away because they made good on all the things they told us were going to happen. We were able to get harder to reach audiences. We don't do a lot of just pure general population studies. Maybe many of you don't either. So I find a lot of the AI tools today are just focused on, just grabbing multitudes of people. You hope they're people. And we wanted to push this harder and say, what if we had a high net worth or a B2B audience? Or, we had to kind of get into those smaller incident levels. And we were able to do it in the beta test. We even threw in some TV spots that we were testing within the platform itself, and that worked beautifully. So we were all greatly impressed by that. I happened to be talking to another wealth management client who was familiar with us and our research, and they said, well, I've got this thing I got to do immediately. This is the study in the middle. They had a quantitative survey they'd just been out of the field with, and they were trying to develop some value propositions. And they just didn't have the whys behind those. They just had data on, I like this, I like that. Well, why? What am I supposed to do with it? What exactly do you like, dislike, etc.? And we were able to get the tool to form that kind of research discovery that we needed. This one had ultra high net worth investors, and business owners. Now, we're never doing samples of 500. We stick around the 30 mark, especially when we're trying to move quickly. And all the studies I'm talking to you today, one had 100% show rate, the others were in the 90 to 95. So we felt really good about this. The client liked it so much that we went back 2 weeks later with the same platform because we could do it. The cost was reasonable and we could continue to do that iterative learning that a lot of people, when you're doing value propositions, you like to do. The last one here is yet another client we have in the financial services space, and they were doing traditional IDIs, web-based IDIs. And they said, all right, I'm going to put this to the test and see, can you get the depth of insight? Can you get the same kind of quality out of it? And Andrew will talk next. He's our wonderful moderator. We have a proprietary technique we use to get really deep into people's personal values, societal values, and how those impact choices and decisions. And I checked in with the client and they said that it paralleled beautifully. So they got just as much as they did from the traditional approach, and hopefully are going to be back for many more of these.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. And Andrew, I'll toss it to you in a second. But before that, I want to toss it to you, Lauren, and talk a little bit about, Jennifer talked about some challenges right at the start and something, that I think's come up with folks with large panels. It was the recruitment side of things and how that could definitely be a challenge facing teams today, whether it's an agency or an in-house team. And then also, really being able to extract those insights through similar to the case studies that Jennifer was talking about. Could you speak a little bit to that, Lauren, the challenges that you've been seeing, from your clients and, not even in the financial verticals, but I'm sure others as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have clients that come to you and say, we want to learn this or we need to understand this. And we all know as researchers that our wheels are turning on not just can we get those insights, but how are we going to get these insights, right? How are we going to find the people that give us this information? Because we are no good without the people behind the real people, as Jennifer alluded to. We have found that we've had a lot of situations in the last and clients and proper opportunities in the last couple of years where we have to do a combination of internal recruit and an external recruit, right? A client wants to talk to their own customers, their own members, and that's great. We want to hear from them as well, but we have to get that outside, that non-customer, that non-visitor, non-member perspective, as well as we've done a lot of work internally using this type of research to prepare us for business development opportunities, sales opportunities. And as Doug alluded to in one of his examples, I mean, we've had the opportunity. I would say, I can count on probably one hand the amount of times that I've said to my team, we've got 2 weeks to get this done. I can get a focus group done in before the end of the week. And we did just that with about a 30 person sample size and got insights that our clients, potential clients, could never have dreamed that they would get from somebody who's just starting to learn their business. And so because we have invested in this platform and user interviews has become a crucial tool in that, we are able to bring to the market in terms of, real proprietary insights for these potential clients that not only give them something that is of value to them that they weren't expecting, but obviously shows us as a smart, nimble research partner. And I think in today's world, as compared to, even 3 to 5 years ago, nimble is probably the name of the game, right? I mean, people want research, but they know that they don't have the time or the budget to wait for a 3-month study. And so the power of these tools combined is not only that we can reach quality people that are incredibly vetted. You can actually see down, if you're doing B2B, down to their LinkedIn profiles, which to me has been a game changer, that I know these people are real and I know that they're the type of people I want to speak to and that our clients want to speak to. And I have the confidence to go to our clients to say, I've looked individually into their backgrounds and who these folks are, and they are the right people. But we can do so quickly and get insights. And it's not just insights, right? And I think Jennifer and Andrew can probably speak to this as well. We are our clients, and what our expectation is of research is we're not just going to tell you what we heard and how that meets your objective, but we're going to tell you why it matters and what to do with it. And both of these platforms give us the opportunity not only to dig deep enough to get those insights, but to get the so what factor out of it very, very efficiently. I wouldn't say easily, because I don't think it's about ease, it's about efficiency, and very effectively.
That's great. Andrew, is your experience and Doug, I want to hear from you as well. Are those challenges echo what you've been seeing, what you're working on solving for through a lot of these moderated panels that you work with?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the important, I think, to mention there is it's not just the speed element to it, but it's doing that without losing any element of quality. And that's an important uh, component of where the human guided and human led element comes in right there to still deliver the high level that all of our clients and all of your clients are demanding at scale, at speed, but with the same level, if not higher quality than they've been receiving, before this AI revolution came about.
I'll toss it back to you in 1 second, Andrew, to talk a little bit about that more in depth. But Doug, is it a similar question to Andrew? Does that echo what you're seeing across, Converge clients and other researchers looking, to your help to address this challenge as well?
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's what differentiates the agency too, to be that responsive. The other thing that's really interesting is a lot of times during a session, we have a capability where the client can be on with us in kind of an observer chat there, going back and forth, talking about what they're seeing during the actual session. That leads to quite often a question about, hey, could we do a group with the following kinds of characteristics? And right there on the spot, talking about another group because they want to get that experience as well. And that ability to say, we can do that, we can have it ready to go next Wednesday, whatever, that speed to insight, that speed to recruit is really powerful from that standpoint. So again, that's another way where it really, I think, expands the engagement opportunity for the agency themselves, and that client is directly involved with, and they really value that.
Great. All right, Andrew, I've held you back long enough. Why don't you talk a little bit about how you've helped address this challenge, via the Lightning Lab?
Yeah, so I wanted to take a minute or so and just kind of walk through what this process looks like and what it means for us and our clients. And I know terms like human guided AI and speed to insights are not novel. Some of you may be even using those in your own communications, but I wanted to get to where the rubber meets the road here. And what does that actually mean? What does that look like in terms of what we're delivering for clients in the process? So I put together here a bit of a workflow of our typical qualitative process using the Lightning Lab. Hopefully that mirrors kind of the qualitative work that you're doing. And obviously that starts with the recruitment, and we've already talked a bit about that integration with user interviews that gives us that quick access to those panelists. But beyond that, the platform itself is already built in with screening questions that are already in the can there that are typical of what you'd see in a qualitative study. And we can assign those and actually, before we even launch the recruitment, get a feasibility measure of, the ability
Yeah.
to get that audience that we need, which is a great starting point for us. And then we can certainly add and do add our own customized attitudinal behavior questions to that screening. And when people fill out those screening questions, we then get a detailed profile of all our respondents. So we can really use that human guided expertise to pick those that are really going to give us what we feel is the most helpful and insightful information when we load our session. But that whole process, which typically took 2, maybe 3 weeks in the past, as has already been mentioned, has really been cut down to about 2 days now, getting us faster into the field. But before we get into the field, we move into that pre-field process, right? This is where you're designing the research questions themselves. And the AI integration here has really been helpful in kind of getting beyond that terror that some of us feel when you're staring at that blank sheet that you have to somehow turn into a guide. So we can actually upload our research objectives, maybe elements of our proposal, into a context window in the Converge platform. And the AI will actually generate a starter guide for us. Obviously, human review comes into that process, whether that's reviewing the wording that's there or maybe moving some questions or activities around. But it really gives us a jump start on not only building out the guide, but maybe thinking of some things that you hadn't thought of initially if you were just going to do that on your own. So there's really a collaboration element there that AI brings to the table that's really powerful. Beyond just designing the guide itself, the Converge platform will actually program the guide. And this has been a bit of a game changer for us. I mean, historically, we've had a few people within our organization who are specifically trained on programming. But now with the integrated programming within the Converge platform itself, that's really opened up this tool to virtually everyone in our company. There doesn't need to be specific training on how to program it. So we've got a much broader group of people who are able to actually deploy the tool, which gives us a lot more flexibility. And again, obviously reducing that time from maybe a couple days to program with this AI programming down to just a few hours. When we move into moderating and facilitating the sessions themselves, this is really less about the speed and more about the human AI collaboration that happens in the moment during these sessions. So one of the most powerful activities that we do in an iLab or a lightning lab is a brainstorm activity. So we may put out a question to the group that says, talk to me about some of the most important things that are guiding your investment decisions or your financial decisions. And if we have 30 people online, we may get 100 different responses to that from those individuals as they're continuing to build off what they're seeing other people say. But there probably aren't 100 unique ideas there. And so what we can do live in the moment is actually categorize those ideas into like themes. And historically, we just had to do that manually. The human had to do that. That takes a very specific set of skills to be able to do that in real time. It is not an easy thing to do. Doug is the greatest person in the world at doing that. But the human-guided categorization capability within the tool AI will take the first cut at that. And so those 100 ideas are really condensed down to maybe 10 or 12 themes. You can add to those as the expert on the topic. You can modify the language, and then maybe throw those back out then to the group to do more activities of maybe prioritization or rank ordering of those activities. So the AI built into the system is really helping us facilitate more effectively in the moment. It can also do that by creating AI summaries of different activities as you're going through different sections. And maybe there's an interesting note or finding that comes out of that. You can share that then back out to the group and collaborate around. Or maybe some of that feedback gives you a new idea that you just didn't think about when you were programming the guide initially, a new area that you want to explore. Well, there's a built-in AI assistant that can actually program a question in real time while the session is going on to be able to follow up on that. So there's really this powerful collaboration that happens in the moment between the human and the AI that really just enhances what we're able to deliver and bring to our clients in the moment. And then, as you would expect, then that this all wraps up with reporting and a couple ways that we're using the AI integration and human guidance of that in the platform is first of all that it will actually generate a summary report overview in real time at the end of the session within 5 or 6 minutes. And that can actually be branded using your own PowerPoint template, which is a nice feature. And we can share that out, right at the end of the session with our client. Now, this is never the final report. It's never what we would deliver as a final report. But frankly, the engagement in the session is so powerful, so energizing. Clients are so jazzed by what they've just seen. They love to see kind of some reporting as quickly as they can. So we'll give them an initial summary of that, obviously go back and enhance that, build upon that with our own expertise, our own humans building that report. But it's a quick opportunity for clients to kind of see what came out of the session. It gives us a jump start on the final report that we're building. And where the time saving really comes in is not just getting the insights to the client quicker, but it's allowing us to then spend more time as deep experts on the topic to really think about the implications, the value, what to do next, those things that Lauren was talking about. We can put less of our time into the more mundane tasks of chart creation and the more value add things, the reason we're all hired by clients, into what it really means for us in my organization and helping them make decisions.
No, thank you so much, Andrew. And yeah, I was just about to toss it to you, Lauren, to talk a little bit about that as well, because I think the underlying theme and what Andrew was talking about was efficiency, which you brought up, and I'd love to get your point of view on how you've been able to address the challenges that you brought up in your intro with these large panels and how scalable they are between, a large panel of 25 or a large panel of 1,000 and sort of the lessons you've been learning along the way.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I found so incredible about this platform not only is everything that Andrew just alluded to in terms of the physical facilitation and what you get out of that, but it has made me a better researcher because I have a tool in my hip that allows me to think differently, more creatively, more inventively about the challenges and problems that our clients are bringing to us. So one example of this is, and we actually did this very early on in our partnership, and Doug, as I was still learning the platform, was a facilitator, but we worked with a local, really actually internationally known botanical garden here in the Valley, who is a long-standing client. They were doing a big shift in their, business strategy, and realized that while they had great data about who their members were and visitors and how frequently they came and all of that great data, they didn't really understand why they cared and why they stayed, or maybe why they left. And so they tasked us with understanding and making sense of that data and adding a new layer to that, which is where we came in with the Converge platform. We actually did 6 different sessions with them over 6 months. That was not the original plan, I will say, but I don't think that's a bad thing, because what that shows is the data is something that you can build upon, that you don't have to just have a specific time frame. It's something that evolves, and you can add value to your clients with that. What I found really interesting and great about how the platform was able to give us what the client needed and beyond was we had really specific segmentation that we needed to achieve with those groups, which made it difficult to recruit and difficult to ensure that we had the right conversations with the right folks. But with the way that we were able to both recruit, matching kind of that member profile with visitors, as well as the visitors that they already had, we had to do a specific Latinx group. We had to have real criteria that delivered on exactly who these audiences were. And we found that the conversations that we were able to have in those segmented sessions gave really unexpected insights. And then layering that on top of the larger sample, like you would with a more quantitative type of research, the possibilities as to what we were learning were really endless. And as you alluded to, Andrew, it did kind of generate some other types of thinking that we didn't expect, that as we were building on this 6-month set of research, we were able to continue to add to and get richer and more exciting insights and what to do with that for our clients. The other thing that I'll quickly mention, I think was alluded to, IDIs. That's a bread and butter as part of what we do every day. But we had a client that brought us a real challenge. And I'm so grateful to the Converge team for working through this challenge with me. They wanted to do 75 IDIs, 15-minute IDIs, with video, because they wanted to watch search behavior as it was happening live, and wanted to see the patterns and hear from real people how they were searching and what mattered to them and what they were looking at. And I knew the platform could do this, but we had to figure out a way to make it work for this specific challenge. And I will say, doing 95 or 75 sessions in a truncated period is no small feat. But what I loved about this, and what I think this tells me about where research is going for our customers and our clients, is that they value our insight, but they really want to know it's coming exactly how it's coming directly from their customers and potential customers. And the way that we continue to evolve our thinking in this AI immersive world, if you will, is not just that we need to be quick and nimble, but that we need to ensure we're delivering to our audiences and our customers that these are real people who have real perspective. And that's something that we can do very, very naturally, both on the customer and B2C side and on the B2B side, in a way that just gives our customers that assurance that research still matters, and that they can get something that their leadership, the people above them, and the people that they're demanding of them, something that they weren't expecting, and that there's real value in it.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Jennifer, let me toss it to you real quick. Listening to what Lauren said, has that been a similar experience where the technology is getting, more advanced, but also are the expectations from clients on top of that to get insights faster? And how do you balance, those needs, rapid insights, but also depth of insights? Whether or not you're able to have all of the tools at hand to do so. How have you really approached that over these past months as AI has developed over the for research?
Yeah, I can appreciate that question because it's funny, even though the world is evolving and moving very quickly, there's still some fundamental things that don't change, which is you got to talk to your client. And as wonderful as this tool is, what you put in is what you get out of it. So just having someone send you a brief and say, go do it is very different than being able to have that kind of immersive session on the front end. And look, this doesn't have to take days and days. This can be, if it's an existing client, we already know a lot about their audiences and their business, and we're trying to find new things. Or if it is a new client, we know some good kind of framing type questions to get us in the right context so that we get more meaning out of it. But I will tell you the expectations, Doug, you said that at the beginning, clients that they're getting that demand from their senior leadership. So, they're not trying to be difficult. It's like the expectations have all changed, but there are some things we just need to do to get those good quality insights out on the back end.
Yeah, yeah. Really well said. And Doug, is that similar, to the problems you're trying to address through the platform and the pain points that you're seeing from organizations that come to Converge?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they're all in the same game on that. They need to get the responses, but they also need to get really deeper insights. One thing I'll talk about just for a moment here is the experience of the participant on the platform, and your again panelists from user interviews when they're together on a session. 30 to 50 people, for example. It's an entirely different experience than being on a survey or an IDI or an async or anything like that, because they're seeing each other's ideas. They feel comfortable and they feel engaged. And to me, that allows them to really go deeper, more personal, more in depth with each other. Remember, we're running in an anonymous mode, so you can say what you want to say. But that really opens the door to ask very, very in-depth questions. Sometimes, as Jennifer and Andrew mentioned, values laddering and so forth on that. But for the clients to watch that, all of a sudden, that is really opening up their eyes to what the possibilities are. We might be doing a customer experience, a brand experience, whatever it might be on that. But again, it goes deeper than what they were expecting. But I think that customer experience at the user level, the participant level, is really important. We run an assessment at the end there about what they felt about the platform, Converge platform, and it's generally with the user interviews panelists 9.5 on a 1 to 10 scale. And that's a really powerful experience because they're interacting with each other, they feel comfortable, and they feel like, again, it was a really good process. So we really value that.
And if I could just add one thing to that, I think yes and to that, Doug, because I think what that does for us as researchers is we're now fighting against anybody in our clients' universe in their office can go in a large, language model and type in a prompt and type in what they're looking for to get out of research, and they can get some pretty good stuff. I mean, we can't deny that. And in a lot of cases, they may think that's sufficient. But to Doug's point, what they're never ever going to get is that aha moment or that, customers and individuals saying, yes, and I feel this because this, or this is my experience. You cannot get that from any of these AI tools that exist today. It might help them get started, it might help us get started. But what happens, the magic that happens in the moment in those sessions, not only between participants, but just in conversation of customers kind of being validated with thinking or feeling or experiences that they've had that maybe they wouldn't have felt comfortable sharing, live in front of each other in a traditional focus group. I don't want to, it's hard to be in front of a client and oversell that. They really have to experience it in the platform to understand it, which is a tough part of, our business of how to sell research. But it is in today, and I think tomorrow's world, something that we cannot discredit.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, Lauren. And Andrew, from your side, doing a lot of hands-on, moderate panels, have you seen this shift as well? What sort of lessons have you been taking away in terms of being able to bring that human element to the equation and extract, deeper insights? So you mentioned a little bit in your case study, but you have such a wide range of organizations you work with. I was wondering if there's any sort of themes emerging, things that this audience could take away as they try to figure out how to get to the best insights out of their large panels.
I think what I'm feeling is kind of a resurgence of this need to get close to the customer. I
Mm.
think a lot of technology, a lot of AI has put a distance between the client and the customer, and there's a resurgence, I think, in just qualitative work as well, supplemented and augmented with quantitative work. Um, in part because I think of the issue that we never want to talk about, but fraud related to quantitative work and the anxiety that that brings in. And so qualitative work really, I think, gets around some of those barriers and gets us closer to what I think is going to be uh, one of the most important elements of collateral that we have in the research world, and that is authenticity. And I
Mm.
think things like this collective engagement, people seeing what other people have to share, building off of that in collaboration and collectively, uh, brings that authenticity forward in a more compelling way than other tools that we have available to us right now.
Let's dig into that for just like a second more. Lauren and Jennifer, what do you guys think about that element of authenticity when you are seeing this advantage of AI, but still need that human operator in the loop to really ensure that the insights are as high a quality as possible.
Yeah, I think Jennifer and I have had a little bit of a conversation about this. The fact that with user interviews, we have access to the information about each one of these individual participants. You will not get that with any of the panels you use to source for a survey. Not that they're not quality and there's not great QA there and not authenticity and trust, but I can physically look at a list and I have my own probably could be more scientific way of going through and kind of rating and grading which potential participants are going to be the best for the project and for the research needs. But us being able to have that firsthand knowledge, and I can look a client in the eye and say that I have looked individually at each one of these potential participants and know that they are the right fit and have confidence that they're going to be the type of person that you want to hear from and speak to. I love the word authenticity, Andrew. I think that's the right word. And that is so much in question right now for so many reasons. And when our clients are investing any amount in their research, that is a factor for them. And to your point about, the higher ups, like they need to be able to go and then say, hey, we have full confidence in the quality and authenticity of this research. And that's another factor when it comes to selling and to being a partner that they can continue to come back to and trust.
And I think with the live human moderation and the project teams, we're there watching it live as well, working in tandem with the moderator behind the scene. You get to see what's happening and you can follow up right there. Whereas if you just had pure AI moderation, you don't know until you get your transcript back. Did the AI ask the right question or not? The human is there. They're getting input from the project team if it is needed at that point. And then Doug was saying he takes these ratings at the end. People actually put, it's like an open-ended response as well as a rating response. And there's overwhelming comments. Doug, I've never seen a session where people don't say, I felt being able to hear the voice and the tonation. There's a human out there, and
Mm.
we're able to read what each other's saying. And we would penalize people if they tried to use AI to answer the lab, which it would be kind of a fool's errand because, we're bringing you along on a discussion. That's a non-starter for us. We're like, you won't get your incentive if you do that. So we make it as human as we can, but we really utilize these tools to keep abreast of where we need to be.
And Nick and Andrew said, it's an opportunity to get closer to the customer again. I just sort of plus one on that. But if you flip that, it's also an opportunity for the participant to get close to the brand or the client as well. And in this age where everything is a transactional survey after you do anything, right? People just like that opportunity to have that ability to provide their authentic feedback in a way that's respected and heard. We always say, imagine 50 people speaking at the same time and being heard on Converge. But that opportunity is really well felt by the participants. And I go back to that idea. They'll give you more because of that. They'll go deeper. They'll go more emotional. They'll go more personal. And that's where you find some of the gold sometimes, at least from our experience on that.
Great, great. Andrew, any additional thoughts on this topic? Otherwise, we could jump over to the Q&A that's growing here.
No, I think people have summarized it expertly as we would expect. So I'm good.
Amazing. All right. So, please submit your questions in the Q&A tab. There's already some that jumped in. I appreciate that so much. So a lot of questions across the board, and I think all of you guys would be great to talk about. So let's talk about actual working within the sessions. So how do you control the tendency towards groupthink in these group sessions? We're talking about a pretty large panel, so there's definitely that possibility that could happen. And yeah, would love to hear all your guys' points of view from that perspective.
I'll,
Yeah,
I'll
sorry.
I'll give a quick one, Nick, and then turn it over to the team there. But from a platform standpoint on Converge, there are times when we want the open brainstorming for people to see everyone else's responses simultaneously. The research says that creates creativity. It allows people to get comfortable with a thread, et cetera. But there are other times out there, for example, where we're doing an opinion statement, a point of view, that kind of thing, where they don't see each other's responses until after they submit. So that's where we kind of put a boundary around the groupthink, where they really just say, what's the one thing that's most important to you personally, and tell me why that matters in your life. And that's really important to be able to do both of those techniques. So I'll let the others speak to that as well.
Yeah, I mean,
Great.
I don't know that I would add much more. I mean, I've had that same exact conversation or that question from clients. And you can design the study, and you should design the study with both of those styles of research in mind. And Doug has designed the platform in a way that you can really seamlessly move between those, right? If you're talking about different topics and you have both styles of types of questioning and activities in each section. You can design it obviously to get the broad thinking and then, get that individual anonymized thinking. We've done this for our clients, for them to have conversations internally with their own teams and their own audiences. We've done them live with like annual planning sessions where we have a leader in the room, but their entire team, and we know that they have unfortunately team culture or team dynamic where not everybody does feel comfortable speaking. And so there's so many different ways that becomes useful and is another, again, not to use the same term, but tool in your toolbox to ensure that you're getting the quality of research and truly the true read from your participants.
I think, Lauren,
Yeah.
that's a great point for the second question I saw in the Q&A, which is how do you get organizations or skeptical leaders to, give it a shot? That's exactly how we do it. We're like, well, why don't you join one with us first, before you spend any money and get a feel for it. Now, that's a demo, but we also do it just like you do, Lauren. We get leaders together. That's the only way they may pay us to use the tool, which is for internal strategy sessions. And but once they see that, they start to realize the value. So I think that would be my advice for how do you get them along, which is kind of immerse them in it and allow them to see how it works.
And the only other thing I would add, Doug used this term at the beginning, focus group depth with survey scale. When you have a client who's trying to figure out, let's say they have a budget for research, or they know their budget is very small and they're trying to figure out, should we do quantitative? Should we do qualitative? Can we do both? Which one should we start with? This is the perfect way to come to them in solution and say, we can kind of do both at once. Not to say that one is better or richer than the other, maybe richer, but not better than the other. But we get the benefit of scale with the depth that you're not going to get just with quantitative alone. And that usually, once they understand exactly how we can get that with a demo and a little bit of exposure into the platform, it usually is a little bit of an aha moment for them.
Andrew, anything to add there?
I would just say anonymity is a great liberator of perspective. And when people feel that they can speak freely, they are not judged. And part of that is based on the moderator setting up expectations early on that we value your unique human perspective in this. We want to hear from you, and that it's okay to share your perspectives, and people can do that in an anonymous setting. You get some truly great feedback. So that's the great protector against groupthink from my perspective.
Great point.
Great. Speaking of anonymous, we had an anonymous attendee submit a question. There you go. This one's about really executing a study without a large team. Maybe teams of one or two if you're lucky. Have you guys approached that? If not, your current organizations at your career to make sure that there's still depth of insights, even if you don't have a great amount of other human operators at your disposal. I could go back to you, Andrew, to start, and then we could go from there.
I think maybe Doug is better to handle that
I can actually jump in if you don't mind. I am a team of one, so I'm living and breathing it, and it is completely within your grasp and your ability to do it. Once you learn the platform, which it doesn't take long, especially if you've done any moderating in the past, both platforms, user interviews and Converge. It really feels like an extension of your own mind and your own fingers. It does take some discipline and kind of shifting of the parts of your brain that you're used to using to move from kind of the recruitment side and how to design who you need to find and how to manage that. But the platform for user interviews what I love about it is you don't have to rely on somebody to get your project up and running. And at first that felt kind of counterintuitive to me, and I wasn't fully confident in myself. But once you do it a couple times, like you can put in everything that you need for your credentialing and your screener questions, everything that you need to ensure that you're going to get the quality that you need. And it tells you as you're going what the feasibility of that is as well. There is, more that you can get if you do engage with somebody on the support side, but you can get a project up and running literally within minutes if you have to. And then on the Converge side, everything that Andrew already alluded to with the example here, absolutely rings true and does free up your brain space to focus more on the thinking and the fine tuning and makes you just a smarter, more powerful researcher. So if anybody wants to reach out to me personally, I'm happy to speak to it. Team of one, do it all the time.
And Nick, I wanted to say this, that just from the heritage of Converge, I started out as a one-person consultancy 25 years ago after I left IBM. And the Converge is based upon that facilitator view, that ease of being able to manage the process as a single person team on it. We license it to large organizations. We have in many organizations multiple people that facilitate across different entities and so forth, and that's terrific. But we also respect that individual consultant that's out there trying to make a difference. That's what I did for a long time, and we have a program called the National Facilitator Program that's tuned exactly to that, where, again, someone who's very competent in their field has a specific discipline. We can train them. They can be comfortable on the recruit. They can be comfortable on the design of the guide, facilitating the session, the analysis. And I really respect that. So we always wanted to make this really kind of facilitator driven. I think it's been very true. So, and a shout out to Sam Griffin, who's really kept that in check as we've done all the development. He's done a terrific job on that. So.
Thank you so much. I'm going to keep you on the hot seat, Doug, because we had a question about accessibility tools and how they're integrated into the platform. Could you speak to that a little bit for that kind of research?
Well, Nick, I think I can answer that question. And hey, everybody, I'm Sam. I lead the technology at Converge. But so just looking at that question, it was about the transcriptions of the qualitative insights. I think one thing I really want to make clear again is like we say imagine 50 people speaking at the same time and being heard. but people are responding through their keyboard on this. So like the insights that we're capturing are text driven. So we don't really have problems with transcriptions because we're actually capturing the raw text input. So hopefully that should answer that question pretty clearly, I think.
Great.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Sam. Yeah, and so looks like that is all the questions we have now. If anybody has any others they want to submit, please do so. But if not, I'll do kind of a last round robin here and ask anyone for some takeaways on or some tips on monitoring large panels in the age of AI, the topic of this discussion. Any tips from your guys' experience that you might be able to share with this group in the community who are definitely struggling with the same challenges as both you and your clients conducting these research projects. Lauren, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I come from a background, I don't come from a research background, but my background from a journalistic perspective, the only way that you have the ability to get out of people, and I don't mean that in a subversive way, but get out of people what you need to get out of them is by being a relatable human and by, kind of understanding what it takes to have a conversation and what it takes for people to feel heard and feel comfortable and feel confident in their ability to share their thoughts. And with this platform, to Sam's point, they are, the way that I started every single time is by telling them that this is your opportunity to share. This is what we want from you. We intentionally designed it so that you are using your keyboard and you don't have to use your voice. You don't have to speak eloquently. We don't have to see you on camera. And I think that removal of some of those factors, especially in the world today where we're constantly on our phones, constantly on our computers, constantly on devices and sharing all kinds of things, frees folks up to have that conversation, but they're hearing that from a human being. They're hearing your voice, they're hearing the intonation. And something that Doug taught me along the way, which I love, is at the very end of the session, he taught me to turn your camera on as you're transitioning him into that very last set of feedback and just say, I'd love for you to be able to put, a voice to a face, thank them again for their participation. And while you've already captured all the information for them, I just think that closes the loop of this was a real human. I had a real conversation. I got something out of it, even though you were trying to get something out of me. And in today's world with AI, even though there's a lot of AI that feels like a real person, there's nothing that can really substitute that.
Great. Jennifer, same question to you.
I mean, I think everybody's been so great covering all the things here. I feel like the one beauty of this tool is we can put a lot more people in it. We tend to do the 30 to 50. Again, we are usually after harder to reach audiences, so we're kind of setting expectations on what's even feasible. But we certainly have that ability. Doug, I know, we've got these 75, 100 people we're able to do it with, which, again, having that human interaction, but you can move people along a different set of activities. I think you kind of use the base of what you're working with, and you can be so creative. Like, this isn't a locked and loaded, you can only do 3 things and you have to follow this path. It's really endless. What do you want to create here? And I've just found Doug and Sam just phenomenal in terms of let's figure that out. If the tool doesn't seem like you push a button and it's there, they'll get it figured out for us in a matter of days.
Great. Andrew, Doug, the clock is ticking, but any quick parting thoughts from the both of you? Andrew, I'll throw you in first.
Just at an existential level, I think people are looking for opportunities to feel valued and that they provide value. And engaging them in a platform like this is a way to really do that and enhance your brand and relationships with the client.
Amazing. And Doug, last thought goes to you.
Yeah, and I'll just echo what Andrew said. In a time where we're in a very polarized sort of society and politics and organizations and things like that, the simple ability for people to say what they want to say in a respectful and meaningful way is a huge value, and I think it gets at the core of what people are all about. And we really value bringing that forward, and we really value the partnership we've had, Nick, with you and the team. And thanks to Andrew and Lauren and Jennifer. You're a treat to work with, and thank you for coming on here. We really value that from a Converge standpoint. Thank you.
Amazing. I just want to say thank you again to this amazing panel. Thank you to the folks that asked such great questions that were here in the audience. If you have any further questions for this group, I'll share contact information, and you could ask them, more deep dive questions into your own situations. And then I'll be happy to share the presentation materials and any other resource we've talked about shortly after we wrap today. On behalf of everyone, just thanks everyone, and hope everyone has a great rest of their day. Go USA soccer, go Knicks. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Thanks, Nick.